Hey everybody, it's Scott again. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the video. Um, I wanted to do another video just talking a little bit about me, just as sort of a new reintroduction so that people get to know a little bit more about me. So I know that I've been doing a lot of card readings, and if you look at my channel, you'll see that I sing. You'll see some of my older videos too that I've done, but I don't think I've really ever done like a really good introduction just to me in general. So I don't know. I guess I'll get started. Um, First off, I live in Minnesota. I live in a little town south of the Twin Cities metro area. It's Minneapolis, St. Paul. And I'm 48 years old now. So I get confused and people don't believe my age, which I'm okay with. But there's probably a lot of reasons for that. So I've been kind of a holistic person for much of my life. Since 1996, I made a choice to be antibiotic free. I used to get strep throat a lot in my life, and that was kind of the catalyst to have me sort of make a different decision about my life. I was always going on antibiotics and get reoccurring infections, and so I picked up a book by Stephen Buhner called Herbal Antibiotics, and I never really looked back. So since 1996, I haven't taken any antibiotics. I think maybe I've had just eye ointment once for an eye infection I had. That's the only prescription I've had since 1996. I've treated everything like with Western herbs, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, chiropractic, and just some other traditional methods. So whenever I get sick, I have my own regimen and I let things go, and I feel like I've built up my immunity. So during the day, my job is to I call myself the holistic geek. I'm a web designer and business consultant and coach for a lot of folks who do their own independent businesses, who are artists, healers, um, yoga practitioners, people who are in that alternative space already, massage therapists, sound healers. Plus, I have just a bunch of other folks too, scattered throughout that I really like working with. But I do web design, business coaching, and some other coaching too that I'm getting into as well. So I do some intuitive and spiritual coaching as well. So I also get into the spiritual topics, get into alternative spirituality topics. I get into the woo woo stuff, so I'm not afraid to talk about that with people. So I think that it stems from early on in the 90s. I was a crisis counselor for 2 years, a volunteer crisis counselor, where I actually coached and listened to folks who were contemplating suicide. So that foundational skill helped me to really get the communication skills that I have to really listen and actually hone in on what people are feeling, what people are going through, paraphrase, and actually give them a voice to what they might be experiencing. So I do talk to people who are experiencing a lot of, spiritual trauma, or sometimes we go into ideas regarding dreams or intuitive feelings, intuitive nature, things like that. Past lives if that comes up, and just how to work with that, how to navigate it. So that's one of the things I do. Um, I'm formerly a massage therapist. I was a massage therapist for 9 years. I got into a whiplash accident and a car accident, and so that kind of reduced how many massages I could give in a day from like 8 to 4 without really feeling exhausted. So I switched to becoming a Reiki practitioner, and I'm a Reiki master. So it's a hands-on healing technique using energy. I really like doing that. Getting back into that, which is really great. I was vegetarian for 10 years, um, and was in a relationship for 11 years, and recently, about a year ago, went through a divorce. And yeah, it was kind of traumatic, but I think it's probably one of those things that, looking back, it's been a great learning journey for me, learning to be on my own again and single again. And oh, and the biggest news after that, after the divorce last year, is that in the last year I've lost 65 pounds. So I was up to 318 pounds And once I moved out and moved on my own, it seemed like during the moving process I lost about 17 pounds just naturally, and I had no idea how that happened. And then I got a health coach, and I worked with a program called Take Shape for Life. It's now called Optavia, for a while. And then I switched over to the Beachbody Nutrition program. And I kind of, throughout all that, it's been a year. Well, basically since March, I really was dedicated. But a year later, I'm 65 to 70 pounds lighter. I'm still in this little fluctuation phase. So I kind of have a good lease on life. So um, at 48, I don't feel it or look it. So I've been confused, and um, people have told me I look anywhere between 28 and 34 years old sometimes. So I don't mind that. So I've always wanted to live to be 100. So I feel like, yeah, it is true. I've wanted to live to 100 since I was a little kid. So I feel like I'm not even middle aged. So, but I'm gonna embrace 50 when it comes to me. I'll get the AARP membership and get all the discounts. And there's a senior center, the gym that I can join and pay like an astronomically low amount when I'm 50, and I'll just rock that. It'll be great. So it'll be fun. People will have to card me, and I can prove that I'm 50 then. But yeah, I've been also like some intuitively. I've had lots of experiences throughout my life. I have some epic dreams. I've had some really interesting predictive dreams, even lately. And also just growing up, I've had lots of different dreams and experiences that happened to me. Some dreams that came true, some dreams that happened in real time. A long time when I was 15 years old, I had a dream of an explosion on a beach, and at the same time, I remember waking up the next morning. I read in a newspaper that at the same time, 3:09 a.m., that was when Margaret Thatcher's hotel in Brighton, England, which was on a beach, was bombed and she escaped. So that was very interesting. Recently, I had a dream about intuitives being taken away on buses and stretch cars, and then seeing blue auras coming down to Earth, and the notion of like star seeds being born. And that was the same day of space weather showed these blue auroras over Norway and Russia, and the same day that the interstellar asteroid, don't know if that's really what it was, we don't know what it is, but we can classify it as possibly an asteroid, came through our solar system at a speed faster than our sun, and circled around the Earth within about 13 million miles, so much closer to the Earth than Mars. Um, First one we've noticed, and we could only see it on the way out. So, yeah, look that up. So it was October 27th. Just look up October 27 asteroid. You'll find it. So I had a dream about that while it was happening. Kind of interesting. It was coincidental. Maybe you might think it's just too coincidental, but I've had these kind of things all my life. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of me in a nutshell. I get into tennis. I do weightlifting. I do yoga. One of these days, I'd like to become a yoga teacher, although I'm not sure how that form will be. If I want to do just a gentle or somatic yoga, or if I want to get into some more yogic practices and meditation. I'm still determining that. And I'm here now, kind of figured out that I'm here after this divorce transition and my weight loss transition. I feel like now is the time that I want to use my life and my influence to teach other people. So, almost all my life, I've kind of always felt like I was the youngest person in the room and didn't really feel like I had as much to contribute as like the elders that were there. And sometimes that's still the feeling. Even at 48, sometimes the circles I travel in, I'm the youngest person in the room, and get called you young people all the time. So, but I think that that's a notion that I'm going with now, is that my life purpose now is more as a teacher and as a person who will help others kind of navigate this intuitive path or this creative path, whether that's as a business consultant or whether that's as a coach or a listener or somebody who reads cards or somebody who makes videos or someone who helps other people on like a weight loss journey or any sort of health journey. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. Other kind of interesting facts about me. One of them is that I've, aside from being born, I've only been hospitalized once, and I thought it was none until I actually did some newspaper research. Apparently, they put hospital records sometimes in newspapers long ago, but I was in the hospital once overnight when I was 2 years old for pneumonia. So I found that out not too long ago. So that was the only hospitalization. I've never broken a bone. Um, I haven't had a vaccine since I was 8 years old. I can look back at my records. I got them from my school. I'm not opposed to vaccines. I think they're great. I just kind of have a feeling that we're over vaccinating children now, and there's a lot of stuff in vaccines that shouldn't be in there. Heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, uh, and the fact that we're putting that much into people's bodies now, so much more than when I was a kid. And you would think that, if I've only had like 8 to 10 vaccines all my life, I'm surprised. They should be surprised that I didn't fall over dead, um, compared to the amount of vaccines that they almost mandate kids to have now, and how the flu shots just pushed on us. And really, there's a lot of varying research about that. I really don't buy into the whole flu shot thing. I'd rather build my immune system, or if I get the flu, I'll go through it, and I'll treat it with the herbs and that I know how to treat it with, garlic, vitamin C, all of those things that I use, and I get through it. And it's a part of building that immune system and that immunity. We're humans, and these bacteria are beneficial to us. It's just like going through grief or loss. They're a part of this transformation process. I'm not saying that it's for everybody. If you feel like this is something you need to do your own discernment. I'm not telling anyone what to do. This is just my approach to life. Um, so I do think that there's a lot of things that I've done over the years that are probably like kind of, I think, helped my longevity, helped me look younger. Um, I've never had children, so I've never had that experience of knowing what it's like to stress out and pull my hair out, worrying about another life that I'm responsible for. So that's probably one thing that has kept me a little less stressed than some of my friends who are parents, and a few of my friends who are grandparents who are my age. So, so I think that's one big thing. Losing weight, of course, helps to create longevity. The time I was a vegetarian for so long, I drink lots, almost massive amounts of kombucha. I drink it and I make it. Kombucha is this fizzy um, drink that you make with tea and granulated sugar, and you use what's called a SCOBY or a culture, and you ferment it. So it's a fermented fizzy health drink. So look it up, kombucha, KOMBUCHA. So I drink a lot of that all the time, at least a cup a day, and been making that. And yeah, this my whole approach of a holistic life, and um, I haven't really been in the sun a lot since I was a kid. I haven't sunburned myself since I was maybe like in my 20s. That's helped a lot with keeping my skin clear. I have experimented lately with being in the sun just for the vitamin E. So this summer when I was at the gym, there's a pool at the gym, and so I would lay out for 20 minutes at a time and soak up some sun, and that was so beneficial. I felt so great, and I felt um, just vitality in my whole system. So I kind of miss that now that it's winter, kind of, here in Minnesota. Today it was in the 40s, and it's December 2nd. So don't know what's happening. Something's happening, whether it's climate change or our sun or just a phase. Something's happening. I'm big into sustainability. I love the topic of sustainable living. I have a different approach most of the time from people. I'm not the person who like buys hybrid cars or anything like that, but I approach sustainability from a very personal responsibility perspective. I live by myself and I live in a two-bedroom apartment at age 48. So I'm not one of those folks who has accumulated a lot of stuff. I have two bedrooms mostly because I can deduct one as an office because I'm self-employed. If I didn't have this and I just worked somewhere else, for somebody else, I would have a one-bedroom apartment just to reduce my footprint. Um, for like 3 years, I was car free. My partner and I, we both were car free for 3 years. That was a great experience. Um, and then I got a car in 2010 again. But I've always bought used cars, and it's very interesting that the cars you buy now that are new have less gas mileage. Like, I had a Saturn that got me 40 miles per gallon, and now you'd have to get a hybrid car to get 40 miles per gallon. Um, don't get me on that. I grew up, my dad built solar panels on the side of our house, so this was in my consciousness when I was growing up. So he was a do-it-yourselfer guy. If we needed a dog house for the dog, he would draft it out. He built his own home at 61, and so he's still going strong. He's in his 70s, and but yeah, he drafted his own house and built it at age 61. Bought his own land and built a semi-earth brimmed home, largely all by himself, with the help of other folks. But yeah, so I kind of come about this in my consciousness of sustainability, not necessarily in terms of political systems, but more of like simple living, do it yourself, buy in bulk, um, grow your own food if you can. I used to grow herbs out on my balcony, and or belong to a CSA, things like that. And yeah, it's not to me. It's not about offsetting your carbon footprint with buying carbon credits. I think those things are artificial. We really could take control of this ourselves. So many people that I know, and I'm not judging, but so many people that I know that are my age have bought huge homes, that their footprint, like a 2,400 square foot home, and they're single. Who needs that? I know I said I'm not judging, but you know, that's a lot of space for one person. Um, I'm kind of love that simplicity of my life. Maybe I'll have art or books or things that I learn from, but in general, folks, we can't take it with us. So if you got a lot of stuff, I hope you're using this stuff. Otherwise, somebody's going to have to deal with it when you pass on. So, or if you live out in the country and you need a lot of stuff to be self-reliant, that's another thing too. Like my dad has tractors and lawnmowers, but he has 30 acres that he and my mom manage themselves. So, of course, you're going to need that. But, he's always bought used tractors. He's not somebody who would, go and borrow a ton of money. Like this, their home is paid for, which is great. I wish that, nowadays it's really tough for people to have that kind of financial thing. Just, I have student loans I'm still paying for. I'll still pay for them for a long time. But yeah, so those are things about me. So I read tarot cards now too, mostly oracle cards. I came back to Christianity as a faith system in about 2010, 2011. I was Christian growing up, and I would sing in church. Church and singing were like the big connection for me. For a little while, during my young adult life, I thought I was like just spiritual, but not religious. Was kind of Unitarian. Started getting into Druidry and some of the pagan philosophies of Druidry. And then just my mother had a really great conversation with me about Harry Potter and how she kind of thought it was the stories in Harry Potter and with the Hunger Games paralleled the Bible. And I got curious. So I got really curious. My partner got curious too, and so we both started going back to church. And then I found an ancestor online through tracing back through Ancestry and then the European ancestry, someone who was from Scotland who the last name is Malcolm. And at the time in the 1750s, that was when the clan system was breaking up in Scotland. And those in Clan Malcolm found that they were descendants of Columcille or Saint Columba. And Saint Columba was the first Christian missionary to visit the Isle of Iona in Scotland and settle there. And upon the abbey at Iona is his poem on a plaque on the abbey, and pretty much states, "My Druid is Christ, the Son of God." And so that was just a real awakening for me too, to think, wow, I've kind of been going on this path anyway. I've called it something else, and it just really came back. And I had no idea. I had to trace my ancestry, kind of go on a journey and discover it. But I should have known. I've got red hair. My mother's got red hair. Her grandmother had red hair. My name's Scott. My mom is Bonnie. Her mom is Fern. It just, you kind of like have to like do the research and see it on paper, and then you're like, oh well, duh, this is what was going on anyway, and I should have known anyway. But so that's kind of about me. I wanted to just just throw that out there and get another introduction for you, so you know who I am, more about the person, if not just this guy who reads cards and shows them on the screen and talks about transformation. So yeah, some of the things I'm really interested in right now, of course, just the intersection of Celtic spirituality and Christianity. I like aspects of both, and I'm also kind of interested in this cosmic nature of spirituality, cosmic Christ, cosmic druidry. This idea of, if we are interdimensional beings, that we're interdimensional beings and spirits having a human experience, and what does that mean for us in our faith? How does that expand our faith when we understand that we're interdimensional and that our life goes on? And what if there is life somewhere else other than on Earth? Perhaps they have these creation stories that we have, and if God is immense and more than we can imagine, then what does that mean for other life forms and other places who've experienced a cosmic spiritual base? So if that happens, it's just something that I'm kind of toying with and something that I'm interested in. It's an inquiry that I've been really kind of thinking about and meditating about, and how to like not let these concepts of like interdimensionality or potential life in other places of the universe scare me. So that's, and how does it enhance our spiritual life? How does it enhance our connection to our own consciousness, humanity? If you're Christian, Christ, or Buddhist, whatever you are, just how does that idea of interdimensionality and the idea of a cosmic being or a cosmic collective of us, how does that really enhance our spirituality? I think we can play with that and make that our own. So that was a big transition. Wow, that's going to be a whole other video. But just an introduction to you about me. It's good to meet you. Again, my name's Scott, and I hope you join me for more videos. It's been a pleasure, and I'll bring more of these to you soon. Thanks. Namaste.